Good day. Welcome back to Horsemanship 101 again. Today I want to talk about some grooming safety tips because this is kind of inspired by an article I just read recently, and I'm not quite sure the whole context of it, but I'll kind of give you what I grasped. I didn't read it too deeply because it didn't really, a lot of it wasn't relevant to me, but they basically watched quite a few different people, riders, grooming their horses, and they observed an awful lot of safety issues, practices that were very unsafe, at least they considered in this test. And I don't know if you call it test, survey, whatever, but they were basically making observations on how people groom their horses and common safety errors that they make. Now, in many cases, they were talking about how the people grooming their horses were absolutely oblivious to the horses while they were grooming them, and there was several near misses where the horses would try and bite or kick the people and narrowly missed them. I'm not sure if being tied up restricted the head enough they couldn't bite them, or what. But I think most of those problems started long before they ever picked up a brush, before they ever even thought about grooming the horse. Because I don't know, I've never had one of my own horses ever try and bite or kick me. Certainly not while grooming it. And they made a few comments about some safety practices, that, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them. One of them was, they noticed that several of the people would actually get down on one knee beside the horse while they're, I presume, grooming the legs or something. And, that is kind of a commonly discouraged practice, because if you're down on one knee, you can't move as fast as you can if you're squatting. However, if that horse takes a notion to kick you, it doesn't matter what position you're in, you're not going to get out of the way of those feet fast enough. So it really doesn't matter. I think we need to back up a long ways and address why that horse is even considering kicking at you in the first place. Another one of the things that they talked about is, how often people walked around the back of the horse and in what would be referred to as, the kick zone. Well, I do that a lot. Oops, she's moving. She thought I wanted to move because I moved. I put my arm there. I've taught her to back up just by putting my hand behind her. But generally, when I walk around behind the horse, I usually keep one hand on the horse as I go around behind it, so it always knows where I am. So I'm not going to surprise it, because my horses know me well enough. There's no way they're going to kick at me. But if I surprise them enough, instincts might take over, and they might actually kick. So walking around behind, one hand on the horse, walk around behind the horse. I'm not worried about it. They ain't going to kick me. My horses like me. And see, they're quite relaxed. You've got a leg cocked there. Yeah, not a worry. But, of course, one of the other things that, I suspect in all cases, they probably had their horses tied while they were grooming it. And I've talked about that before, why I don't tie, because it instantly ups their stress levels, And so, that's a problem right there. As you can see, we're again in the arena here. None of them are tied, not even halters on them. Lots of room for them to move. If they don't like what I'm doing, they're quite welcome to take off anytime they want. I don't stop them. And, but, as you can see how calm they are, I can throw my gloves up there. But I'll talk a little bit about grooming, too, while I'm at it, because that's kind of the whole topic here. Is, first off, I don't tie. Now, we've covered that, why we don't. But, I figure that's just going to make the horse a whole lot more relaxed while we're working with it. And, a lot of the problems that occur when it comes to grooming, she moved, my brush fell. As you can see, I get a little laxed here. Sometimes I use the horse for putting stuff on. Well, that's okay. We can do that. But I think a lot of the problems start long before people ever get near the horse. Because, I've talked about how you approach the horse. These horses know that when I come up to them, I'm coming up to them with kindness, gentleness, that sort of thing. Your approach, your attitude towards the horse. Because, quite frankly, when it comes to grooming, the horses don't give a crap. They do not care if they're dirty. They have no pride, no ego, no vanity, none of that stuff. They don't care if they're plastered with mud and look like crap. Doesn't bother them one little bit. I've always said a dirty horse is a happy horse because as soon as you're done riding or as soon as you finish grooming, they promptly go out and roll in the mud. So seems to be that's what they prefer, so that's what they do. I'm not going to get obsessed about it. Grooming is for humans. It's to make you feel good about the horse you're riding, or other people's opinions, whether it's judges or something. If you're going to shows or something, that's the only time it matters. The horse doesn't care. Grooming is strictly a human thing to start with. So I mean, it's not even necessarily in the benefit of the horse. This one here, I actually did spend a fair bit of time grooming her when I first got her. Not because I give a crap about what she looks like, but I just wanted her to get used to being handled, from head to toe, all the way down, right to the bottom. And, so it's a matter of, just, how I approached her and things like that. And this brush here actually is a stiff one. There's super soft face brushes you can buy for brushing their faces, but she actually likes this one. When I brush her nose, she'll push into it and want me to rub harder. And I started thinking about it when she did that. It's like, well, geez, you ever seen a horse scratch its face on a post? You think it needs a soft brush? Nah, I don't think so. So don't waste your money on a bunch of crap. One of the things that I do have here, though, that I'll talk a little bit about, this is a shedding comb. And, tag's worn off now. Can't see the price anymore, but they're not very much less. I think they're less than $5. They're not very expensive. Be careful, though. This edge is sharp. Be careful where you're using it on the horse. But one of the things that I found with these things, aside from the fact that they're really good for when they're shedding, they're also great for getting rid of mud, ice, stuff like that you want to scrape off. And the only parts that I really worry about is wherever the saddle's going to sit, and underneath where the cinch goes. I make sure that area is clean so it's comfortable for the horse. Other than that, we don't worry about it if their legs are muddy or anything else. Hey, they're happy with that. So, as you can see, I don't have a lot of stuff here. I got a brush and a shedding comb. I do have a couple other items, but not much. I don't tend to waste a whole lot of money on that stuff. I see people with buckets full of all kinds of fancy things, and I don't get it. It's a waste of money, and it's just, they enjoy it though. They enjoy spending time with their horses and stuff like that. But this is about safety. And, I still say that the biggest issue when it comes to grooming isn't the grooming at all. When the way you do it, if you do it a little too aggressive, and come hard and fast towards the eyes, ears, sensitive areas, or underneath near the sheath or udder or something where there's next to no hair anyhow, that's sensitive areas. You got to be very careful around those areas. That could be a safety issue. Horse might tell you to get lost, take a kick at you if it's discomfort, but when it comes to safety and grooming, I think it starts long before you ever get a hold of a brush. It's the way you treat the horse in general, your attitude towards the horse. I don't stress the horses when I'm working with them. I just hang out with them, tell them they're good girls, spend time with them. If I happen to have a brush in my hand and I'm brushing them in the process, that's actually kind of inconsequential, really. The horse doesn't give a crap if I'm grooming it or not. They're quite happy to get rubbed, petted, have me be nice to them. Those are the safety issues. Those that keep you from getting hurt. Those are the things that make your horse respect you and like you, not want to take a bite or kick at you. I'm sure there probably are mistakes people make in the way that they groom. I don't know. I'm not big on that stuff. I figure overall just be nice to the darn horse. It's not a big deal. Be nice to the horse, and it's not a safety issue anymore. You see, don't start by raising their stress levels up in the first place. Just generally have a good attitude towards them. As far as getting bit or kicked, that's got nothing to do with grooming. The article I said, they talked about how many close calls there were and how people exposed themselves to risks and everything. I don't think I have any risks here. I eliminate them long before I ever pick up a brush, and I think that's the key to good safety. Is it's got nothing to do with that brush in your hand or how you use it. It's got to do with your attitude that starts long before you ever get a hold of that brush, and that will kind of determine how you use the brush and how you treat the horse while you're brushing it and everything else. So, basically, safety and grooming starts long before you ever start grooming the horse. So that's kind of the gist of it. I kind of thought it was funny in that article that was floating around, and they seem to focus so much on the grooming part, and all I could think of when I was reading the whole thing was it really has nothing to do with grooming. Safety starts long before you ever pick up that brush. So think about it, folks. If your horse is fidgeting, fussing, getting anxious while you're grooming it, put that brush away. Don't even think about grooming it. You got other problems to deal with that you got to sort out long before you ever pick up a brush. If the horse isn't comfortable being groomed, the grooming part isn't the problem, okay? So that's your safety issue right there. It's got nothing to do with grooming. So think about it. Have a good day. Bye.